Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into a story that's, well, it's deeply unsettling, a real chilling mystery. It starts with what seems like just an ordinary family from Eufaula, Oklahoma. Bobby Jamison, his wife Sharlyn, and their little girl, 6-year-old Madison. On October 8, 2009, they just vanished, without a trace. And this is one of those cases where, honestly, the answers seem just as lost as the family themselves. It leaves behind this trail of really strange clues and some, frankly, disturbing theories. So, last time anyone saw them was near Red Oak, Oklahoma. They were looking at a piece of land, about 40 acres, that they were thinking of buying. Seems normal enough, right? But then, just a few days later, their pickup truck found abandoned, deep in the woods. And what investigators discovered inside that truck, it didn't solve anything. If anything, it made the mystery much, much deeper. It immediately signaled that something was terribly wrong.
Yeah, the scene itself where they found the truck, it really put investigators on high alert straight away. This wasn't just a car breakdown. The initial feeling was, this family didn't just decide to leave. It looked like an unwilling departure.
And the things left behind were just baffling.
Completely baffling. You had their IDs, their wallets, mobile phones, even the GPS system, all still there in the truck. But the really significant thing, $32,000 in cash, just sitting there.
Wow. $32,000.
Yeah, and this was highly unusual for Bobby and Sharlyn. They were both on disability payments at the time, so that amount of money.
Where did it come from?
Exactly. And maybe the most heartbreaking detail, the one that really points to them not leaving willingly, their dog was still in the truck, starving.
Oh, no.
That detail alone really suggests how sudden, how unexpected their disappearance must have been.
It really does. And you can imagine law enforcement. That amount of cash raises huge questions immediately. Where did it come from? What was it for? You must have considered drugs, right?
Yeah.
Like a deal gone bad.
Oh, absolutely. That was an early thought. But the sticking point was, why involve their 6-year-old daughter in something like that? It didn't quite fit.
And the truck itself, you said. No clear signs of a struggle.
Right. Nothing obvious. So it was impossible to say for sure. Did they leave voluntarily? Maybe under pressure, or were they physically forced out? Just no way to tell initially.
So they start searching the area.
Yes, an extensive search, the woods all around the whole area, but nothing. It turned up absolutely nothing.
Frustrating.
Very. And things were complicated. The conditions were apparently dangerous, and it was also the first week of black powder hunting season.
Ah, so you have other people in the woods.
Exactly, hunters, which could potentially contaminate any scene, and it just made a large-scale organized search much harder, even dangerous for the search teams.
Right. And the sheriff at the time, Bobby Shore, he noted there were no signs they were planning to just disappear, start a new life.
No, none at all, which just deepened the whole enigma.
So after that initial flurry, 4 years go by.
4 long years, silence, just desperate hope, but zero answers. The case went cold. Faded from the news, mostly.
But then, a break. November 16th, 2013.
A shocking development. Some hunters out in the Sans Bois mountains, they stumbled upon skeletal remains.
And this wasn't close to the truck, was it?
No, not at all. Almost 3 miles away. Quite a distance to cover in that terrain.
And then the confirmation came later.
July 3rd, 2014. Tragic confirmation. The remains were identified as Bobby, Sharlyn, and little Madison Jamison.
So they found them.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the end of the mystery.
Not even close. This is where the case gets, I think, even more tragically frustrating from a forensic standpoint. Because even though they had the remains, the bodies, the decomposition was so advanced.
Too much time had passed.
Way too much time. The critical evidence you'd need to figure out the cause of death, the manner of death, it was just gone. Obscured completely.
So they still don't know how they died.
Exactly. It left everyone, investigators, the family, with this agonizing void. No answers. Plunged the case right back into the unknown.
It's just an enduring enigma. Finding them didn't answer the core questions. Why did they leave the truck, the money, their dog? What happened between vanishing and dying? How did they die? Who was responsible?
It really defies any simple explanation.
Okay, so to even try and understand this, we have to look at the months before they disappeared, because things were apparently getting strange. There were reports of increasingly odd behavior, unsettling claims. And this is where all the theories come from. Each one seems almost more disturbing than the next.
It's a complex picture, for sure.
Let's start with maybe the possibility of trouble from within the family itself. Specifically, Bobby's father, Bobby Sr. About 6 months before they vanished, Bobby actually filed a formal petition against his dad. Claimed he'd made death threats against him. Multiple threats.
That's pretty serious.
It is. Bobby alleged his father was involved in some really dark stuff: prostitutes, gangs, meth. He even claimed his dad deliberately hit him with a car back in 2008. And Sherilyn's mother, Connie Cacaton, she backed this up. Talked about Bobby Sr. having a terrible temper, having money, and these rumors about connections to the Mexican mafia. Bobby had apparently even installed security cameras because he felt so threatened.
That paints a picture of a really deeply fractured family dynamic. Lots of bad blood, it sounds like. Disputes over money, property.
But the police looked into Bobby Sr.
They did, and they cleared him pretty quickly, actually. Checked his alibi, and it held up.
Okay.
Plus, he actually died just 2 months after the family went missing. His brother said he was just too sick at the end to have been involved in something like this.
So that lead kind of fizzled out.
It did, but, even if he wasn't directly involved, the intensity of that family feud, it definitely adds another layer to the whole disturbing picture of their lives leading up to the disappearance.
Right. So the family situation was clearly tense. But then there are these other accounts suggesting their fears maybe weren't just about, earthly threats. This leads to theories about the spiritual, maybe even the demonic. Sharlyn's mother apparently also thought they might have gotten mixed up with some kind of violent cult.
Though it's important to note no actual evidence ever surfaced to support that specific cult theory.
Right. But then their pastor, Gary Brandon, he shared some really unsettling details.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby apparently told him he'd seen spirits on their roof, like 2 to 4 spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And separately, Sharlyn told a pastor that she and Madison had seen spirits inside the house. And Sharlyn believed she had the power to exorcise them, to cast out demons.
This is where things get really complicated, isn't it? This intersection of, possibly very strong spiritual beliefs, maybe delusions, with the grim reality of them going missing.
Yeah. And Bobby apparently admitted to reading the Satanic Bible at some point.
Yes. And Sharlyn claimed she could speak to the dead, and that she thought Madison shared this ability.
Which is chilling.
It is. And then there's the detail about Bobby telling the pastor he was genuinely afraid of these, quote, demons, and that he'd been looking at high-powered shells online in the middle of the night, like between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m.
High-powered shells.
Right.
Like ammunition.
Seems like it. It really paints this picture of a family gripped by some kind of extreme fear. Whether it was supernatural or psychological, it forces you to consider motivations beyond typical crime scenarios.
Okay, so that's one angle. Then there's this other idea. Could they have been put into witness protection?
That theory came up too. The suggestion was maybe Bobby or Sharlyn were informants, perhaps against local meth dealers, given the area's reputation.
And there were a few things that seemed to fuel that idea.
Yeah, a couple of details. Madison had been pulled out of school shortly before they disappeared. Apparently, the family was also involved in some kind of legal dispute with the school.
Okay.
And remember that petition Bobby filed against his father. In it, he stated his family was severely scared for their lives at all times.
Right. And the lack of struggle at the truck.
Exactly. That feeds into the idea of a willing departure.
Yeah.
Maybe under duress, maybe as part of some kind of covert government operation.
It seems plausible on the surface, perhaps explaining the suddenness, the cash maybe being relocation money.
But the huge problem with the witness protection theory, of course, is that they were later found deceased. That tragically rules out the idea they successfully started a new protected life somewhere else. Unless, perhaps, something went terribly wrong after they entered some program, but there's zero evidence for that.
Such a dead end, like so many parts of this case. Okay, what about something darker, closer to home? Did police consider murder-suicide?
They had to. It's a possibility investigators often have to consider in family disappearances. And there were some concerning elements. Sharlyn's gun was apparently missing from the truck.
Ah, a missing weapon.
Yes. And then found inside the vehicle was this really aggressive 11-page letter, a hate letter, basically, from Sharlyn written to Bobby.
11 pages. Wow.
Yeah. And adding to that, Sharlyn's mother described her daughter as being bipolar. And there were reports that both Bobby and Sharlyn suffered from depression.
So you have documented mental health struggles, a troubled marriage, a missing gun.
It's a disturbing combination. Understanding the potential impact of bipolar disorder with its extreme mood swings combined with depression affecting both parents, it suggests a potentially volatile household. Rational thinking could have been severely impacted.
And those journal entries you mentioned.
Right. Journal entries found both in the truck and back at their home. They really laid bare a deeply troubled marriage. One entry from Sharlyn was particularly harrowing. She wrote something like, "You're a very toxic person. It breaks my heart." that you have turned into the monster that you are. And then, chillingly, I would not wish my daughter to be raised in foster care because of you being in prison for attempted murder and her mother death.
Oh my God. That implies some very dark thoughts.
It really does. It highlights the internal despair, the volatility, and unfortunately, the potential for a truly tragic, internally driven outcome.
Okay. This is heavy stuff. There's another theory, though, focusing on Madison. That photo found on Bobby's phone.
Yes, that photo. Taken, supposedly, the day they disappeared. It really stood out to investigators and to many people following the case as deeply disturbing.
Can you describe it?
It shows Madison. She has her arms crossed. She's looking away from the camera. She's definitely not smiling. People who knew her said she looked, well, terrified.
Not like her usual self at all.
Not at all. The quote often repeated is something like, "That's not her smile. That's not her face when she's happy." Madison never did that before, with her arms crossed like that, looking away.
And the implication some people drew from that.
The theory or speculation was that maybe a kidnapper took that photo after something had happened to Bobby and Sharlyn. It sort of shifts the narrative towards an abduction scenario targeting the parents first.
Just one image. But it conveys so much fear.
It really does, that sense of a child's distress.
Yeah.
It's undeniable and very haunting.
All right, one last major theory to cover. The drug trade connection.
Right. This comes up because the area where they were last seen and where the truck was found, it was known for drug activity, particularly crystal meth production and trafficking.
And there were reports about Bobby and Sharlyn's appearance before they vanished.
Yes, reports that both of them seemed quite emaciated, thin, which some people took as a possible sign of drug use themselves, although, again, no solid evidence ever confirmed they were users.
But they didn't necessarily have to be users, right?
Exactly. The theory here connects more to the location and the money. Maybe they weren't users, but perhaps they accidentally stumbled upon something, witnessed an illegal drug operation, a transaction, something like that.
Being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Precisely. In an area tied up with that kind of dangerous activity. The idea is they might have seen something they shouldn't have and were silenced by people involved in the local drug trade.
And the cash. Could that have been related?
It could fit. Maybe it was intended for a large drug purchase they interrupted, or maybe it was even a ransom payment that went wrong. And their physical appearance could just reflect the extreme stress and fear they were under leading up to whatever happened.
So many possibilities.
Yeah.
Yet none of them seem to fully fit all the pieces. What does it all mean in the end?
That's the agonizing thing, isn't it? Despite a huge investigation, all these chilling theories, even finding their remains, the disappearance and deaths of the Jamison family are still one of the most profoundly baffling unsolved cases out there.
It feels like there are lots of threads, but none of them lead anywhere solid.
That's a good way to put it. There's very little conclusive evidence that explains why they vanished in the first place, why they had that huge sum of money, how exactly they got out of their locked truck, and crucially, who killed them and why.
It just seems like we might never really know what happened out there in those woods.
Honestly, based on what we know now, that seems like a very real possibility. The trail is cold, and the key questions remain unanswered.
The Jamison family's story. It's such a chilling reminder, isn't it? How fragile life can be, how easily things can unravel, leaving behind just unanswered questions. And this deep sense of unease, it really makes you wonder about the hidden dangers, the unknown things that might lie just beneath the surface of everyday life. We really hope you found this deep dive into their story both captivating and, well, thought-provoking. It's the case that sticks with you. If you're drawn to these kinds of unsettling mysteries, please do give this deep dive a like. Maybe share it with someone else who appreciates a good mystery. And definitely subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We'll have more stories like this, stories that keep you thinking long after you finish listening. Until next time, stay curious, and please be safe out there.